Let's go to Real Housewives of Atlanta star Apollo Nita.
Oh, Apollo.
Now, he landed in hot water for charges on bank fraud and identity theft. Exactly how much was he accused of defrauding?
Millions and millions of dollars. So it's a very serious allegation because he was caught in a sting operation with the Secret Service that basically charged him with fraud, identity theft, stealing other people's Delta Airlines retirement checks, U.S. Treasury checks.
What?
Yes, it's a very extensive cause of action and claim that they're alleging against him. And the most damning evidence is that he is caught on tape admitting to his involvement in this thing and basically talking about how he has orchestrated this and what to do and giving instructions. So it was a pretty elaborate sting operation that they performed. And he's in a lot of hot water because these are very, very serious charges.
These are federal charges.
These are federal charges.
Yeah, not state charges.
No, and he's already been convicted in a RICO arrest.
Before.
Yes, and that's another federal case.
And he served time for that one,
He did.
right?
He served 5 years of an 18-year sentence.
Wow.
And he was released on parole.
So he's currently on parole. That's what people are forgetting.
Yeah.
He's currently on parole. Well, the fact that he's currently on parole, that he was charged and served time for similar charges in the past impact whether or not he goes to jail for this time.
Absolutely. It's a very unfortunate situation because they were saying that, you know, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And he also was arrested before.
Oh, really?
Yes, he was arrested before this. In 2000, I believe.
So he's got a very checkered past.
He does. He does have a checkered past.
It's not looking too good for him.
It's not. And, you know, this is a very serious operation and elaborate sting operation that he has set up because he opened bank accounts in these people's names, and it was over like 40 bank accounts that was opened.
Now, could they actually subpoena like footage from the show to use that as evidence?
Well, they could, but I hope that he doesn't. He wasn't, you know, I don't want to say stupid enough, but that's the word I'm going to use to say to admit anything on tape. However,
well, he did. Here's the thing: they seized his computer.
They did.
And on several episodes, he's talked about spending thousands of dollars in the strip club.
Yes, he did.
Now,
and that was very interesting because I was watching one of the Housewives programs.
For research.
Right, for research,
Yeah.
exactly. and there was one where they were talking about he was going to a strip club and spent like $5,000 or $8,000 on strippers. And he said, well, it's my money. And where do you...
not.
Right, exactly. Where do you get $8,000? I don't want to count anybody's money, but he's a trainer. And he made a donkey booty video.
Right.
So where does he get all this money?
Exactly.
Wow.
And so of course, I mean, but the tape is not going to be the damaging evidence. What's going to be damaging is his own tape that they caught him on, his computer, the bank records. I mean, they don't bring a RICO and a federal case against you very lightly.
Well, Phaedra's a lawyer. Should she represent him, or is that a...
Well, Phaedra might be in her own little bit of hot water.
Lisa, I wanted to ask you this, but now that we're going there,
Go ahead and go.
how did she not know? And could she be called to testify against him?
Well,
She's the wife. I know that wives are not, you know, they're barred from testimony if they choose not to speak.
right. So
But
they cannot compel her to
compel
testify.
her.
However, she might be brought in as a party to the lawsuit because there was a situation where she was alleged, well, I won't even say alleged because it's in the court records and it's on the public website that she is an officer in 4 of these companies.
No.
And one was a national debt recovery company where she is listed as Phaedra Nida. I think that's how you pronounce her last name, Phaedra Nida. And she is listed as an officer. And this particular debt recovery company was one where they used to gain credit reports, Social Security numbers, Equifax, TransUnion credit reports. So it's very, very elaborate.
Couldn't she just argue that I had no idea he was using my name to do this?
Well, that's what Teresa Giudice and Joe. Teresa's arguing that now in their case. She had no idea that Joe was doing this. They're asking for separate trials.
Yes.
I've seen Blue Jasmine. She knew something was going on.
You know, you don't turn a deaf ear and a blind eye to all of this stuff. And to me, that was the first question I would ask my husband. Where are you getting all this money?
Yes.
Where? And they are married. They have, do not know that something is going on, especially when your husband has a limited income. He gets paid, you know, a certain amount from the Housewives show,
Right.
and the rest from his training. So, but where do you get $5,000 or $8,000 to blow on strippers? Now that's just of what we know. Who knows what else?
Could Phaedra be indicted as well?
She could possibly.
Wow.
They could. They
That
could
would
name
make
her.
an interesting storyline.
I think it would.
Housewives next season.
And you know, Bravo is noticeably silent on everything.
Of course they are. Well,
sure
maybe she
are.
should take a play from Bernie Madoff's wife. And how did she get off and she not go to jail?
That's a good question.
Oh.
Because I don't believe that she was named in any of the corporate documents, and so, but Phaedra was. And so there has to be some type of active involvement, and there has to be some commingling of assets and things like that. So, you know, you can't just prosecute somebody with no credible evidence.
Right.
And for Bernie Madoff's wife, apparently she was possibly, you know,
She claimed she was
Oblivious.
clueless. She had no idea.
Right.
She
She
was
was
just a
possibly
rich socialite who had no idea. She thought
Right.
yes.
And her husband, you know, did run from the outside would look like a potential
Legitimate
business.
business.
And it was, those.
And part of his business was clean and
Yeah,
legitimate.
of course.
It's just there was a significant part that wasn't.
Right.
All right, let's talk about Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Shannon, what is it, a $600 million?
Yes, $600 million trademark
Yep.
infringement lawsuit.
Yep.
Now, who is actually suing him and why are they suing him? And can they get away with this?
Okay, well, there is a gentleman who is suing him, and they are suing, well, he is named as a defendant, let's be clear, one of many, as a former owner of the Brooklyn Nets.
Okay.
And they are alleging that the individual has Castiglione, I believe is his name, Francois Castiglione, had filed these lawsuits, these trademarks, and basically saying, I own the name I own the rights to the name of the Brooklyn Nets, I own the logo of the Brooklyn Nets. And when I was researching this, now there are several, if you go on the United States Patent and Trademark Office website, there are several applications, probably about a page long, that his lawyer, through the Brooklyn Nets LLC, did file and abandon some of these trademark applications.
Okay.
So which indicates that he did have some type of prior interest in the name.
Okay.
However, he did abandon them, and he let them expire, what's called a dead trademark application. So it's
okay.
either abandoned or dead, depending on some legalese. And so essentially, he let these lapse.
Okay.
And then he was in talks, allegedly, with the Brooklyn Nets, and they said, hey, we want to use the name, but we're not going to. We're going to call it the New York Nets. And then he went and refiled the name of the Brooklyn Nets with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office.
So does he have a case?
Well, it's interesting because the Trademark Office at this point is siding with the Nets.
Okay.
Now, the Trademark Office really takes their job very, very seriously, and he probably has some claim had he continued to register the trademarks, because it's clear from the looks of it that he actually did register these marks.
Okay.
But what's interesting, you can file what's called an intent to use application, and I don't know why the Brooklyn Nets, from what I've seen, did not file an intent to use application.
Which would have covered that.
Right, if I am not using it in commerce yet. However, I intend to use it, and you can keep filing these intents to use for a certain amount of years before you actually have to show that you're using it in commerce.
Well, he saw a gap and he jumped right in there.
He did, and they're saying, well, yeah, after this, you really, filed it after it became public knowledge that he was moving, that they were moving it.
Okay.
So,
Well, we intend to have you back again.
well, thank you.
Yes.
I
You know,
hope
there are going to be more celebrities
more.
in the courtroom.
Yes, well, thank you for having me.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Now, what do you think of all these court cases and who do you think should win? Tweet us about it at Arise TV 360.